Right, let's start with Zubeen Garg's death. In a story that's really stunned the nation, the death of singer Zubeen Garg in Singapore is now the center for murder investigation. What really began as suspected drowning has turned into a case riddled with allegations of poisoning, cover-up and a conspiracy in Zubeen Garg's death. The 52-year-old music icon, loved for his contributions to Assamese and Bollywood music, died on September 19th during a yacht outing in Singapore, where he was attending the Northeast India Festival as a cultural ambassador. Now, remember, Singapore's investigative reports claim that Zubeen died out of drowning. That said, there's fresh information that's coming from the SIT that was formed in Assam, the state investigative agency that was set up by the Assam government, has revealed that they've arrested 4 people. That includes his manager Siddharth Sharma, bandmate Shekhar Jyoti Goswami, singer Amritprabha Mahanta and the event organizer Shyamkanu Mahanta. Shockingly, the bandmate who's been arrested, Shekhar Jyoti Goswami, has made some explosive claims. He's told the investigators that Zubeen was poisoned and that manager Sharma and Mahanta, the event organizer, deliberately withheld help when Zubeen showed clear signs of distress while he was swimming. He alleges that the manager brushed off Zubeen's frothing at the mouth and nose as just acid reflux, ignoring his worsening condition. In fact, the bandmate Goswami has also stated that manager Siddharth forcibly took control of the yacht. While they were on the yacht, he took control of the yacht, and that caused the yacht to dangerously wobble as well, basically suggesting that the manager was acting very odd that day. In fact, he claims the manager also requested everyone on the yacht not to share any videos or any platform. Well, according to the bandmate of Zubeen, who's also, remember, arrested, he's right now in custody of the police. He has testified in his testimony, claiming that the entire incident was planned by Zubeen's manager and it was attempted to portray Zubeen's death as completely accidental. He claims that Siddharth, the manager, insisted that no one help Zubeen when he was visibly gasping for breath in the ocean, and the manager allegedly said, "Jabo de, let him go," while people saw Zubeen struggling to breathe. Now, Zubeen was said to be an expert swimmer, so it was very hard to believe for people watching him that he was losing control of his swimming, and the fact that he was a good swimmer and yet struggling should have raised alarm bells. Clearly wasn't attended to when it was needed the most. The SIT has now confirmed that 2 unidentified men entered Zubeen's hotel. Now, that's another suspicion that's been raised. Who are these men? Meanwhile, as investigations deepen, 8 NRIs living in Singapore who were part of the yacht party have been summoned by the SIT. Reports suggest that they're hesitating to appear for many reasons. Some say their workplace is not permitted, or the Singapore police is not allowing, etc., etc. But Assam Chief Minister Himanta Sarma has warned them. All of them are originally from Assam. They've been warned, you either appear before the SIT or you face action. Assam government has also sought Singapore's cooperation under the MLAT for cross-border investigation. Judicial inquiry led by Justice Soumitra Saikia has been ordered with 6-month deadline. Viscera report is also now awaited that will very possibly reveal whether indeed Zubeen was poisoned or not. Zubeen's wife Garima has demanded answers questioning why even her husband was allowed to go into the water when the doctors had clearly advised Zubeen to avoid swimming because he had epilepsy seizure even in the past, and Siddharth, the manager, knew very well about it but yet allowed him to go into water. So she's very upset that this was done despite them knowing very well Zubeen's health condition or prior records. Of course, Zubeen's death mystery only now deepening, turning nation's grief into a quest for justice now. Let me bring in our panelists on board. Nekib Hussain, who's a popular Assamese singer and lyricist who knew Zubeen very well. We also have Ellen Rao, former DCP Delhi, also Dr. Sudhir Kumar, professor in HOD Neurology, Apollo Hospital. Let me start with Ellen Rao, who's a former DCP of Delhi. Mr. Rao, my only question here is there's a lot of suspicion and speculation around Zubeen's death on how he died. And while the investigation was proceeding with Singapore's investigation or the post-mortem report that said that it was death due to drowning, but here the SIT has another version of a testimony from the band member saying Zubeen was poisoned. that Siddharth may have poisoned him. He was frothing from his nose and mouth, and he was struggling to breathe in the ocean, and yet nobody went forward to save him. My only question here is, if Singapore has said that this is death due to drowning, can we really believe Singapore's investigative report, or should we shut it down entirely based on this band member's claim here?
Good evening, ma'am. This is really, this case is turning into very so many suspicions, and as per the state government and the public media or social media, it is suspected that he did not drown itself, as is stated by the Singapore police, and he might have been murdered. There are so many other people also. The SIT has been constituted by state government here in India. But let me answer your direct question that whether the police of India, the Indian police, can investigate that case. No, not at all. That Singapore police cannot allow other agencies to investigate this case outside Singapore, because the place of occurrence is at Singapore, and all the circumstances which have been culminated into the death of Zubeen Garg, that is to be looked into by the Singapore police, and apparently they say that it's due to drowning. But because of the suspicions raised by the Indian government people and Indian government also, that this may be suspicious death, and that all the angles should be probed. Most important aspect, if there is a element of murder in this case, then that viscera report is most crucial report, because if there was something intoxicated in his stomach was found, that his viscera report, his stomach was sent to the chemical analysis for eliminating whether he was poisoned or something, he was intoxicated at that time.
Okay, but viscera report will come in 6 months? No. It'll come immediately.
That may be requested as early as possible. Also, it all depends upon the investigating officer here in India.
Okay.
If such a important and case is reported, then the viscera report is requested from the chemical analysis to be done at a very priority basis.
My question here is, if there was poison in his body, could the Singapore authorities have detected it or not? They would have, right?
Yes, no. That they can only detect after they getting the viscera report. Otherwise, that postmortem, that autopsy of body of that Zubeen Garg may also reveal so many.
But you've had 2 rounds of postmortem that's already happened here in India. When his body was brought back, they've done 2 rounds of the autopsy or postmortem. One of the two, twice over.
Once the autopsy is done at the same place, that is Singapore, has been done, that autopsy report carries much more value and weightage in spite of the autopsy reports done in India. That because the first postmortem report, the first autopsy carries more and more weight for that. And even then, if it is a second autopsy or third autopsy here, and suspicions are being found here, because the investigation is being done after the autopsy has been done here in India, then SIT has been constituted, that is called CID, investigation being done. They can do it at their own level, but that multi-legal assistant treaty, that MLAT, that is multi-agency assistance system, there is a provision in interstate, inter-countries, that any assistance can be provided from here to Singapore, or Singapore also can give any assistance to it. That is a treaty, if there is between these 2 countries, that can be also very helpful in investigation of this case. And no doubt the public wants that the reality should come, that the real picture should come, truth should come out after the investigation is done, whether it's a Singapore police.
My question is that, the more you prolong this, it's been now nearly a little more than 20 days. And the more you prolong this, I'm not too sure what more evidence can you uncover. If the autopsy and the reports given by Singapore and the Indian authorities did not detect poison, then how could you really tell? Dr. Sudhir Kumar, Zubeen had epilepsy seizures. He's had attacks in the past. Now he decides to go for a swim, and some of the witnesses there say that he was seen struggling to breathe. We're not, indulging in conjectures here, But just in your expertise of epilepsy seizures, or what you know about it, can a person go into water and swim comfortably, or is it dangerous?
Yeah, thank you for having this important discussion. So, if we talk about epilepsy and drowning, definitely, a person with epilepsy, if he goes for swimming, there is a risk of drowning, and there have been many studies done on this aspect. And what has been found is that those who have epilepsy, they have almost 15 to 19 times higher risk of drowning while swimming as compared to someone who doesn't have epilepsy. And of course, it depends on factors like what type of epilepsy. So, epilepsy, there are two types. One is focal, where the person does not become unconscious, and second is generalized, where the person loses consciousness. So, if a person has generalized epilepsy, type of epilepsy, then they have a higher risk of drowning. And then also the seizure control. So, someone who has had good seizure control, like no seizures for 6 months or longer, they have a lower risk. But those who keep getting seizures like every month or once in 2 3 months, they have a higher risk of getting seizures. So, as a blanket rule, as a neurologist, what we tell our patients is that avoid swimming for about 6 months from the time of last seizure. And also, if somebody has to go for swimming and in a well controlled epilepsy, still there should be help. So, someone who's one person always should be there with the epilepsy person, that in case of any eventuality something happens, the person should know swimming and immediate help is available.
Now,
So,
knowing that Zubeen was an expert swimmer, he was very good with the waters. Still, an epilepsy seizure can happen while you're in water, even if you're the best of swimmer.
yes, epilepsy can
And
happen
you can
anytime.
go out of control.
Yes, so epilepsy can occur anytime, whether a person is swimming or not swimming. So if it's an unfortunate situation where the epilepsy occurs while swimming, and as I said, in a generalized epilepsy, the person is not conscious. So in a person who's unconscious, even if the person is expert swimmer, the person is unconscious. So they cannot control anything, and then the risk of drowning is very high. So it's just unfortunate incident, because we don't know that a person may be having no seizures for the last 30 days, but on the 31st day a person can have seizures. So generally we always tell them, definitely, a person with epilepsy should not go to sea water for swimming. If the person is very fond of swimming, definitely it should be a controlled swimming pool, and then have floating devices, have an immediate help available if something happens. So this kind of, the person with
Are
epilepsy
you,
who is allowed to go for swimming in sea water definitely is not advisable.
Doctor, are you aware of an autopsy, or while doing the postmortem, if doctors are not able to detect whether the person was poisoned? Because poison, to claim that he was poisoned is alarming. And I'm shocked that Singapore authorities have said died due to drowning and they could not detect it. And Indian authorities have not detected it. But here you have a bandmate who claims that he was poisoned. Now,
Yeah, see, there are two aspects here. One is that drowning definitely can be seen grossly. So when a person undergoes, when a person who has died, an autopsy is done, so there are definite telltale signs of drowning on the lungs and other viscera, which can be seen grossly, and it doesn't take much time for the person doing autopsy to find that drowning has been done.
okay.
The second aspect is if he was poisoned, what was the poison? So something which made him more drowsy. And if somebody, like say some kind of sedatives, it can be benzodiazepines, or I'm not talking about this particular
I
case,
got
but
you,
as a
yeah.
general. So a person who has been given sedatives in a high dose, so that person can lose, can become, within say few minutes of taking sedatives, can become too sleepy and may not be able to control his swimming. So that is possible, and that benzodiazepines or sedatives cannot be seen grossly unless somebody does analysis of the chemical analysis of the blood or viscera, and then finds the absolute level, because of course, and also depends on other medications that he was taking for epilepsy.
Yeah.
So some drugs do interact. There are some
Right.
benzodiazepines that are used for treating epilepsy also. So I don't have those details. So once those details are given and this analysis is done, chemical analysis, that only can tell us whether what kind of poison, or whether it was there or not, and whether and what was the level of that poison that could make him drowsy or sedated or not.
And the viscera report after his funeral was now he's cremated. Uh, what do we expect from the viscera?
Yeah, I think if the viscera has been preserved, we don't know about that, then definitely analysis can be done on that, because in autopsy sometimes the viscera will be removed and it can be safe. It can be safely kept, at least some samples. We are not sure about that. But so based on that analysis can, or they may have already done the analysis, because any suspicious death, there is a protocol, what are the things to check. So I'm sure they may have looked at that also, because it was, drowning can be the end result. As I said, if a person has got sedatives, then that can impair his skills of swimming also, which can increase the chances of drowning. But even without that, a person with epilepsy, if he gets a seizure, generalized seizure, then there is a high risk of drowning.
Do tell me, you have the band member saying that Zubeen was frothing through his mouth and nose. Can that happen when you have a seizure?
Yes, it is very common. So frothing at mouth it can happen, and also the person is unconscious. So sometimes they can have the tongue bite. They can be blood also in the throat. Sometimes they can vomit. If somebody has had food in the last, say, half an hour to 1 hour, it can be still in the stomach. So those contents can regurgitate. So frothing, tongue bite, bleeding in the mouth, those things are well known in a person immediately after seizure or during a seizure.
So it could be multiple factors. It could be very well that he had taken medicines to treat, which is, he had epilepsy seizures, so he may have taken his medicines, regular medicines, and could have interacted with something else that he may have had. He may have eaten very close to swimming, and getting into water at that point may have been a wrong idea. And he may have gotten an attack. I'm saying if all of these could be factors that could have resulted in his death, but poison, when you speak of poison, you're saying it could be medicines as well that could have interacted. I don't know what other poison, I can't imagine of another kind of poison. What other poisons are there?
No, poisons can be various types. So the common things are sedatives.
So I'm saying those kind of poisons, which is completely suspicious. Can that be detected in autopsy? That too 3 times of autopsy?
No, as I said, the chemical analysis needs to be done for that, and we have, the labs are very well equipped to detect all kinds of toxic substances. So, we just have to send the viscera for analysis, and any toxic compound can be detected. Yes.
Okay, right. Okay, so Mr. Rao, a quick word on the SIT investigation. Notices have been sent to nearly 8 NRIs, Assamese originally, but living in Singapore, who are very excited to host Zubeen Garg on that yacht, and they were part of that yacht party. They've all been summoned, but they're refusing to appear. They're scared to come to India for whatever reason. Some say that they're going to lose their job if they leave. Some say that the Singapore police are not allowing them to go. So Himanta Biswa Sarma says that you either come face SIT or you'll face action. Now, what's the legal possibility here if an NRI is unwilling to come down to face investigation? Do you believe that the two countries together can work this out and ensure that they face investigation, or is Singapore being right now clear that they're citizens of this country, so you can't interfere? How does the Indian authority wade through this?
Nabila, this is a very crucial question, because that incident took place in Singapore, and the persons who are being sought by the Indian investigating officers, they belong to Singapore, and if they have some valid reason not to come, they cannot be forced to join investigation here. Secondly, it all depends upon the mutual treaty, which I have the MLAT, that mutual legal assistance treaty. If it allows, then after talking to both the governments, that can be done, that they may come here, they may talk to their employers there, and then they can have some leave. That if at all, if they want to come, then definitely they should join the investigation. If they don't want to come, there is no legal hassle from India against them. I am very much clear that if they come, most welcome. They should join the investigation. They should assist the police in India to find out the truth. And if they don't want to come because of their pressure on their job, or maybe pressure by the Singapore police, then they cannot be forced to come here in India.
They can't be forced.
They can't.
Okay, that's interesting.
So because mainly because the main offense has been committed there only. Then the Singapore police has a first right to investigate this case.
Right.
We are doing this investigation as a secondary investigation, which may be initiated here also, because the offense has not been committed here. This is my question, because jurisdiction of any offense, that is the most important aspect of this case.
You know, the yacht party happened. The wife of Zubeen says, I was not even aware. I spoke to Zubeen few hours earlier, but he never told me that he was going to a yacht party. They knew very well that doctors had advised against him. Now, my only question is, Zubeen is not 15. He was nearly 52. How can you tell a grown man not to go into what? Like, how can you blame anybody on the yacht who may have enjoyed with Zubeen not to go into water or not to swim or, you know, not to do what he was doing? You can't tell a fully grown man not to do something.
Yes, Namila,
but on what grounds have the police arrested all of them? Now they've been arrested because they were on the yacht.
That is the big question, how this police can arrest these people when the offense has been committed in Singapore. That is to be seen. The legality of this arrest will be, I think, that may be challenged in India, because nobody can force anybody to whether to go for swimming or not swimming.
Yeah.
That is a separate issue. But all these, if there are some questions raised in this suspicion death, they may be told to the Singapore police, that Singapore police will investigate each and everything. They will also see the CCTV
and there were
cameras.
2 people, unidentified people, who walked into his room, etc., etc.
That is also to be seen by the Singapore police.
Correct. You're right. Singapore police have now a larger role to play in this investigation, and Indian authorities have sought cooperation as well. So they've agreed to do so. But at this point, certainly the band members' claims and what he's put down on his note as part of his arrest testimony is shocking, and it's completely given a new twist to the Zubeen Garg death case. This is a man, Shekhar Jyoti Goswami, you see on our screens, who's Zubeen's bandmate, who claims that Zubeen's manager Siddharth poisoned him. So this has turned the entire case into a new dimension. Now murder charges and investigation being looked into, and this now leaves the entire country waiting to see what the reports find. Thank you very much, both of you. I really appreciate you give us some clarity on this case. Thank you.